you're not in competition with anybody but yourself. So those grudges, you know, those reasons that you may give yourself for motivation ultimately are you know, they're pointless.
Right,
Me
okay,
going,
I
yo,
got you, yeah.
I'm mad at you. I'm gonna prove you wrong. All right, well, when I prove you wrong, then what happens?
Yeah.
Like, what happens
Nah,
then?
prove me right.
Yeah, it's like there is no win in that. So I had to understand that if I'm going to stay true to what I feel that I can do, then I need to be the one to convince myself that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, there's a ton of failures along the way, that's for sure. Like I said, as I said, for SpaceX, the first 3 launches failed. And we're just barely able to scrape together enough parts and money to do the 4th launch. If that 4th launch had failed, we would have been dead. So multiple failures along the way. I tried very hard to get the right expertise in for SpaceX. I tried hard to find a great chief engineer for the rocket, but the good chief engineers wouldn't join, and the bad ones, well, there was no point in hiring them. So I ended up being chief engineer of the rocket. So if I could have found somebody better, then we would have maybe had less than 3 failures.
I always say when I lift something heavy, I remember that is Wolverine. The little bit where you go, I want to drop it, and then you go, no way, that little bit is Wolverine.
You change bodies the way other actors change costumes.
Well, this is your tool as much as your voice, as much as your emotions, and so I've always taken that very seriously, and I love playing Wolverine. It's a great character, but I want it to be better than last time. I want to be physically in better shape. Otherwise, there's no point doing it.
But look, you're a successful guy. You don't have anything to prove to anyone. You have this little voice in your head telling you to do more, do better.
If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be sitting here opposite you. At the same time, for the sake of people around me, it'd be nice to be able to put it down for a while, you know?
The thing that I do at my company that is very unusual is that we are completely unreasonable, without reason, we don't use, yes, I'm logical, okay, yes, I'm a sane person, but when it comes to achieving a target, we do it with, like, we abandon reason and logic. We don't talk about, yeah, but, we never start, yeah, but, or no, we can't, or we couldn't because, or it didn't happen because. Anytime you're making sense of why something didn't work, we don't have the budget, we can't do that because, yeah, but we're different, you are being reasonable. The great things that have happened on this planet and continue to happen are because people are unreasonable. They literally abandon reason and logic. They defy the universe. Now, if you look around, if you're a logical person, if you're a person that has to make sense of it beforehand, then spend some time looking around the universe, look at nature, look at all the things that are done every day that literally defy gravity, defy possibility, defy physics. It's all over the place if you need to be reasonable. Now, in my case, I don't need to be reasonable because there's enough cases of super successful people doing things that are amazing, whether it was a manufacturing, a new product, or whether it was Steve Jobs coming back to Apple and turning that company around. Every day, look at Amazon. Look what Amazon has done. Okay, now you look at it, you're like, dude, that's a no-brainer. Make all products available online. Now it's a no-brainer. Now it's like, it's so logical. Look at Velcro. Velcro was like, God, I should have thought of that. See, but beforehand, it was completely out of reason that you could stick things together because they scratch one another. You understand what I'm saying? So look, this is what I want you to try. Try this in your life. It's gonna be very difficult. It's one of the most difficult things I do is being unreasonable because all the people I'm surrounded by are trying to make sense of why they can't do something. Quit making sense of why you can't do something and become unreasonable until you do something.
If I had email, I would be inundated. I choose not to have email or ever turn a computer on. Now, all my companies are state-of-the-art, technologically advanced. If I want something printed out, it's printed out for me. But I do this out of choice. I'd rather make a phone call to you or write you a letter and communicate the way you deserve to be communicated with. And no disrespect to people on email, and I'd be so inundated, my gosh, I'd be on that computer all day long. I prefer to have that personal touch, and it seems to work. With all the companies I have that I'm quite active in, but I have great presidents running most of them. Thank God, I'm very blessed there, right, to take care of the details. But I'm still hands-on in many, many of the businesses here. And I can work better that way. And it goes down to this. Pay attention to the vital few, ignore the trivia many. If I had email, no disrespect, there'd be a lot of trivia on there I'd be answering. I try and pay attention to the vital few and ignore the trivia many.
What do you differentiate those two categories to be? Like, where would, let's say, your president be, and where would, like, the head of a sales division be? Are they on two sides of that equation?
No, what it is if it's one of my companies, you could call me directly. But people know, call me directly if you have to, but don't bother me with something someone else can handle. And they do it. It works really, really fine, works really well. But what's important would be obviously presence of company, anyone that's involved with me, either philanthropically, the main people philanthropically are the main people in my businesses, or places or countries I want to reach out to. If the head of a country will call me, I'll call them right back. You know, things that are very significant. Insignificant are, I'll give you an example. In my life, it has been significant. I'm hit up every month for hundreds of requests. Send me $100, send me $2 million. You have all the money, share it with me. And I don't even touch it. I can't. I'm swarmed. I do so much philanthropy now. Everyone expects that, whether it's a $2 million mortgage or, hey, I want to start a new business, send me $50,000 because you have money I don't, that people should do. Well, that's not true. I spend millions on philanthropic work, but I do it through our foundation where it really makes sense, not where I have to go through it all myself.
So my question is, how do you begin to set up that system so that you have and I'll call it a luxury in some ways, of communicating as you see fit, when you see fit with those key decision makers?
Well, for starters, I'm the chairman of the board, okay, of the major companies. So I know detail what's going on from the chairman of the board's point of view. I also know that the people that I've hired can do what they're doing much better than I can. And I know what I need to know, and so do they. So they could pick up the phone and call me, JP, we just did this, or look what we're doing here. I also attend meetings on a regular basis to see where we're at and where we're going, and meet with marketing people, meet with promotional people, meet with our educational people, sports marketing people, to get a hands-on feel for what we're doing, where we're going, and in those really important meetings, I sit in to help make the decisions.
So a lot of you have written to me about your fear of flying. And I can really relate to that fear because I used to have the exact same fear. But I use this same strategy to conquer it. Here's how you're going to do it. So first things first, if you've got to do something that really makes you nervous or that you're afraid to do, before you're about to do it, come up with an anchor thought. What's an anchor thought? Well, an anchor thought is something that's going to anchor you so that you don't escalate any situation into a full-blown panic attack or into a situation where you screw things up. It's a way for you to anchor yourself so you maintain control over what you're thinking and how you behave. So here's an example with flying. It's important when you're creating an anchor thought to pick something that is in the proper context of what you're afraid to do. So for flying, pick an anchor thought that has to do with the trip that you're taking. So if I'm boarding a plane to fly back home to Michigan, an anchor thought might be a picture in my mind of my mom and I walking on the shores of Lake Michigan where I grew up. That's a thought that makes me happy, it makes me excited, and it's also related to the trip that I'm taking. If you have a conversation that you need to have with your boss, pick an anchor thought about how you feel after having that conversation. Maybe it's you picking up the phone and calling somebody that you love and saying, oh my gosh, it went so well. Or, you walking out of the meeting and feeling like, yeah, I survived that conversation. I feel pretty good about myself. So now that you have your anchor thought, you're ready to beat the fear.
What if you're happy with your job, but you don't like the place it's in? Man, the honest answer for me is I would leave. Like, I'm so hell-bent, like I know what I want to do with my life. It is so clear to me that I just wouldn't let anything stop me. And that's why I left Tacoma. I loved Tacoma. I was not unhappy in Tacoma at all. Like, people always think I left for the weather or whatever. I didn't even think about the weather as a kid. It was just all I knew. I left because I wanted to be in a bigger city that had more opportunity, and that was it. And so I was moving towards something. And I think that there are two things that motivate people: moving away from something. So, oh, I don't want that to happen. I don't want, take longevity. I don't want to die. That's moving away from something. I want to live forever. That's moving towards something. So living forever for me is about all the things that I could do and all that. So I'm moving towards that. I'm not moving away from a fear of death. So that here, like, the only perspective I can give you is that if I ever had a sense of like, I can't go as far as I want to go in this place, I would be gone in a heartbeat.
Work on your focus. Perspective is everything. And let me tell you something, the problem with most of you is that you see difficult as something negative. For real. I want you to see difficult differently. Are you hearing me? I need you to see difficult differently. Now that weightlifter, when my man looking at those weights, when he got that iron is heavy, but he's not looking at that iron like, look how heavy the iron is. And he knows what it's gonna do. It's gonna tear his muscles to pieces. He gets it. But what he understands is that if he tears them down, they're gonna rebuild themselves. And when they rebuild themselves, they're that much stronger. Listen to me. The more you go through, the more difficult it is, the more challenging it is. Listen to me, the harder it is. Are you hearing me? The more challenging it is, all you're doing, baby, is building muscle. You're building muscle. So don't quit. Don't give up. Don't stare at them. Listen to me. You don't get buffed by staring at weights. You don't get buffed you don't get healthier by staring at it. You get healthier by running up to it and grabbing it and pushing it. Look, push through that stuff. Push through it. You can get through it. He said he won't put on you more than you can bear. You can get through it.
We've been getting a ton of questions about being paralyzed with the fear of what other people think. And this is so commonplace. I think every human being on the planet is paralyzed in some aspect or some area of their life because they're concerned about what their parents or what their friends or what their friends on Facebook or what their colleagues or what their upline or their downline or whatever, what their neighbors are going to think. If you are struggling with this and you have not found it helpful to attack your thinking patterns, then here's a trick that I want you to try to break the pattern of being paralyzed by what other people think. I want you to pick one thing that you've been wanting to do, that you've been thinking about, but you have stopped yourself from doing because you're concerned about what other people think. Let me give you some examples. Maybe you've wanted to go on a wellness retreat, but you think your spouse will roll their eyes at you, so you haven't done it. Maybe you have a particular Facebook post or a blog. So many of you want to start a business or start creating art, but you're terrified of putting yourself out there because of what other people will think. Today, we're going to break that pattern. What you're going to do is you're going to pick one thing you've been stopping yourself from doing, and you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And the reason why I want you to do this is because I know that if you're still paralyzed, you have not been able to change your thinking patterns yet. That's cool, no problem. We're going to try a different tactic. I want you to change this paralysis through action. Because if you sign up for that class, if you go on that retreat, if you create your art, if you post that blog post, if you start that business, you will be proving to yourself through the actions that you're taking that you don't care what other people think. Try that today. Let me know, number one, what you've stopped yourself from doing, and number two, what you're committing to doing today. Because one way to break this is to attack the thoughts and change the thoughts and get into action first. The other way to do it is to recognize that you're paralyzed, pick one thing that you're going to do, and actually get it done.
It is not easy to identify the enemy in combat, in war. So what you have to do is you have to control what you can control, right? You got to be prepared. You've got to train. You've got to study. You've got to rehearse. You've got to remain vigilant. You've got to maintain discipline in everything you do so that when the enemy does reveal itself, you have the ability to outthink it, to outmaneuver, to outfight the enemy. And it's actually the same thing in business, right? The enemy can be hard to identify. Your competitors aren't broadcasting their next move. You don't know what the market's going to do. You can't be certain about the next trend or the next downturn or the next bubble that's going to burst. You can't know those things. So you have to do the same thing. You have to control what you can control. which is you. You got to gather intelligence. You got to analyze the metrics that you can track. You got to train yourself and your team to be prepared for both the known and also be prepared for the unknown. Figure out what the likely contingencies are and have some plans to execute if those contingencies occur. Maintain discipline as an organization so that you have the flexibility and the responsiveness to maneuver effectively and efficiently when the unpredictable actually happens. So instead of suffering and falling apart in the chaos, you can take advantage of it and win. And that's business, and life is the same. The enemy is not always clear in life. It can be hard to tell who's going to try and bring you down or what is going to bring you down. There's distractions. There are things out there that will do you harm that are so camouflaged you can't see them at all. There are deceitful people. There are accidents that can occur and diseases that take root, and there's bad luck, and there's Murphy's Law, and there's times when it seems that the whole world is against you. The whole world is the enemy. And the same rules apply. Control what you can control. You train hard, learn, maintain the unmitigated daily discipline in all things.
A lot of people can give up. It's easy to give up. You know,
Hell
it's
yeah.
easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm done. I ain't going.
Oh yeah.
I ain't gonna keep going.
Yeah,
I don't feel like going to work. I'm done.
Yeah, man.
It's easy. It's very easy. But what's hard is going, yesterday I got nothing from working as hard as I could. Nothing happened from that. I'm gonna do the same thing again today, but I'm gonna try to go harder. That's the hardest thing in the world. To get up every day and give 100% and be in the same position that you were each day, but mentally know that you're trying and trying and trying. That's a real grind.
The fact that you realize that that negative moment has positive impact, the question is, why did it happen? And that's why you have to be honest with yourself. I don't know, but that's, I'm pumped that you can have you're more positive than half the people here, and it sounds like you're having a terrible day. Because basically when things happen, I go the other way. So tonight, I just was reminding myself every time you came and the next person came, I was just reminding literally in my own head, saying, you don't mean shit. I said it to one of you. They said, how do you stay humble when you're so successful? I'm like, because I know if I die tomorrow, I'll have a good day on social media. Like most comments ever on my latest post on Instagram, everybody's gonna be like, oh, that was the last one, weird. And I know that all of you will be on with your life a week later. You have to balance your ego with humility. In the same way, when I'm having my worst day, I realize I'm the best. I'm gonna be the best that ever does this. And so the way I handle things is when something's going one way, I use all my emotional strength to push the other way. What, are you gonna cry for the rest of your life because the conference got f***ed up? To me, it's just like, look what the f***'s going on. Guys, if you're in this room right now, let me just remind you that there are 7.7 billion people. Literally right now, as we stand here, there are women being shipped to be strippers in parts of our world. Right now, as we stand here, there are women who are basically caged, mentally usually, and are being shipped to dance on a pole in Manhattan and in London. Like, do you understand there's genocide going on right now. Like, what do you think's going on? Like, we lack perspective. Your conference got f***ed up, boo-hoo. I lost a client, boo-hoo. There's people dying out there. So when Americans or Europeans talk to me about race or gender, I'm sad, it's their real life, but I remind them because it's a positive thing, cool, but let me tell you about the person that's ranked 7 billion in the world. They f***ing have it bad. And so I struggle. Like I want to, like listen, I'm weird. I think about things like animals. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're the best elephant, we are still better than you. Like, you know, like we got like, listen, you know I got hot on this about a year ago, the 400 trillion to 1. It's impossible to be a human being. You won. I don't know how to get upset after that. I keep shit in perspective, right? Like, you're gonna learn from this. You fucked up. I promise you it's failing because of you. And when you start owning your shit and not blaming other people, and I think this is the kick I've been on lately on Instagram, right? Like, blame yourself. You know why I'm always happy? I blame myself. When you blame yourself for real, you're gonna always be happy because you don't feel like somebody else controls you.
I went from 0, never had been paid for a speech, to literally the most booked woman in the world in 3 years flat.
Crazy.
And there's a number of reasons why. Number one, the content's terrific. I'm also a really good public speaker. There's not a lot of women on the circuit, but more importantly, I behave in a way because I know that the number one asset in business is make the people you're dealing with know that they matter. Take care of everybody you deal with, everybody. The event planners, the speaking bureaus, everybody has something that they're worried about. You get rid of the worry, you make them feel like they're important. Everybody wants to be around you because at the end of the day, we all want to know that we matter. So if you do business with people that make you feel good, you want to do more business with them. And so it's a really, really simple thing. I call it, my philosophy about human beings is just be a fan. Just cheer for everybody. There's so much success to go around. People have really difficult lives. They make things really hard for themselves. Make their life easy. Make them feel great. Give them a hug, smile, compliment them. Be generous. Don't be a pain in the ass. Like, literally, it's that simple.
It's a very natural process to begin something, to be very excited, and then as you go down that process to realize, yeah, I actually don't like this, it's not giving me as much energy as I thought it would, it's taking energy away, and therefore I want to give up and quit that thing. And she said, if you do that once or twice, like, hey, so be it, but if you're doing it every time, if you just love that initial rush, that excitement of something new, but the actual nitty-gritty reality of getting good at it, of doing what Michio Kaku calls having butt power, meaning you sit your butt in the seat and you do the work, if that's really your problem and nothing is interesting enough for you to sit there and do the work, you haven't developed grit yet. And so grit is the ability to persevere, to see things through, to go past the point at which it has stopped being fun and it becomes boring because you believe in your end goal enough, you're excited by what you're trying to accomplish so much that you're willing to fight through all of that difficulty. You're willing to fight through the boredom. You're willing to fight through the unease that arises when you step outside your comfort zone. You're doing things you're not good at and things that are boring. Those are the two things that I find kill most people. They just cannot handle the things that make them go, oh God, like I'm not very good at this and I'm feeling really badly about myself. And they forget that they can get good on a long enough timeline. And then two, inevitably, in any pursuit of greatness, in any endeavor where you're trying to gain mastery, you're gonna get bored because practice is repetition. It's doing something over and over and over and over to really train yourself to get to the point where you're truly exceptional. And there's just so much boredom inherent in that process. So building in the resilience to see all that stuff through is the key part of grit.
Everyone that's out there grinding, working, driving trucks, pouring concrete, hammering on a project, building bridges or building software, sewing some garments or sowing a field. Farmers, factory workers, engineers, electricians, plumbers, and pilots, and ground crew, and cooks, and waitresses, to everyone out there working hard and listening to this and just trying to get yourself a little bit better today than you were yesterday. Thanks for listening. And as you meet struggles, and as you struggle to stay on the path, first of all, remember, you don't have to fight alone. Reach out to your comrades in arms. Call for fire support when you need it. We win wars because we stick together, and when we stick together, we can overcome any enemy. And the struggles that you face when they do try to flank you, do what Jody did. Do what a soldier does. Turn into the ambush. Turn toward the enemy fire and attack.
Every time I'm having trouble, every time I'm like, man, I don't think I can get to where I'm going, I just start looking at the top. I don't look at the bad facts. All I do is I start searching. Tell me about wealthy people, facts about wealthy people, anything. What are they doing? What are they buying? It just gets me out of my problem, right? It gets me to think bigger. You know, the first plane I bought this plane because I saw other wealthy people making moves. I'm not an irresponsible person, okay? Like, I have always been a very frugal person, but the frugal was hurting me, not helping me. Your network is your net worth. How rich you can get has something to do with who you're hanging with. How rich you can think has something to do with who you're hanging with, okay? How smart you are has something to do with your surroundings. If you hang out with dumb people, you're going to end up dumb. If you hang out with junkies, you're going to end up being a junkie. You hang out with criminals. I'm not talking about the people that go to jail. I'm talking about all the people at your office right now that cheat their employer and cheat themselves. You hang out with crims, you end up being a crim. If you want to build a network, number one thing, commit to building a network. A network by definition is not, if you're building a new network, it's not the people you're already with. It's how do I add people to my network? So number one, you got to commit to building a network. Number two, who do you want in the network? Who is it? Most of you just go for more people like you have already in your network. I want new people, new characters, new personalities, new thinking, new ideas. The old adage, if you're the smartest person in the room, you in the wrong room. And number three, when you start building this network up and you start meeting the people, okay, number two is who do you want to meet? Who are you going to add to the network? You go 9,000 people in a room, you don't need to meet all 9,000. You need to meet maybe a list of 30 or 40 people. Who do you want to meet? Number three, when you meet them, focus on them, not on you. It shouldn't be, here's my card, I'm a chiropractor, this is what I do, can I give you an adjustment? Dude, it should be like, who are you? How can I help you? What are you doing? Where do you live, okay? What projects are you working on? How can I help you?
You can't overcome the feelings that are rising up, Langley, but you can take action despite them. That's a very important distinction that I want each and every one of you to understand. The things that you're feeling, clenching up, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you're not ready, doubting yourself, kind of spending too much time thinking about how much time you've wasted, all that's normal that we all do. You cannot overcome those thoughts because they keep rising up and they've become a habit and it's sort of a pattern. So I don't want you to focus on the thoughts. I want you to focus on taking action, even though you doubt yourself. You are going to feel like an imposter until you push through that clenched up moment over and over and over again. And then suddenly, through action, Langley, you're going to see that you're not an imposter at all. You're actually the kind of person that pushes through and does what he or she says they are going to do. If you want to be successful in business, if you truly want that side hustle to turn into your full-time thing, you have to learn how to let the feelings of doubt rise up, but take action anyway.
Everyone gets hammered, man. Everyone gets knocked down. Mm-hmm. You miss a close. Someone changes their mind. You get rejected in an interview. You lose your baseball career, whatever the hell it is. It's not whether you're getting knocked down. It's not even whether you'll get up. Everybody eventually gets up. Everybody gets up.
Yeah.
It's the time you're on your ass. It's the time you stay on the mat. So what happened was my dream got squashed. Instead of laying around for 6 or 8 months, I was up immediately, like that day, off the mat. Now my eyes are open. Your eyes are closed when you're on the mat.
Yeah.
And so the longer you stay on the mat, just because you've been defeated, you've now become blinded, as you said, and it's a preventer from getting any other opportunity or blessings in your life. So the key is getting your butt up, like literally getting up and opening your eyes again and chasing again. You're going to get up, so you might as well do it now.
I think if you're average, you play into the situation. You know what I'm saying? So like, let's say it's perceived as negative. Like you go there, you know, you go with, oh, he hating on me or she hating on me. I'll give you a prime example. When I was average, I saw my wife's treatment of my gift as opposition. Like, yo, she ain't supporting me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm out here speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, every time I speak, she critiquing me. You know, she never said nothing positive about my presentation. Like, every time I get off stage, if it's the best that I thought I ever did, she like, well, you should have done this. You shouldn't have said that. Like, come on, you know better than that. You didn't. And I'm just like, yo, what's up? Like, where's the support? You know, that was average, you know? Great was she going to work when I'm working on becoming a motivational speaker. She's going to work every day. So she's supporting you. You got health insurance because she has health insurance. She got a 401k. She's built up a bank account. She got a phenomenal credit score and got us a house with her credit score. You understand what I'm saying? You know, but when I was average, it was like, you're not doing what I want you to do. But when I became great, I realized, yo, I already got 40 people that just said that was a phenomenal message. You don't get better by people telling you what you did right. You get better by watching the film. You get better by critiquing yourself. So here's a person who's brave enough to critique me because somebody else might have thought the same thing, but they weren't gonna say nothing to me about it. You know what I'm saying? So just looking at the situation like, yo, don't look at it. Average people look at, you know, what it is. They don't critical think. They don't analyze. They don't unpack. You know what I'm saying? Like they just see that's blue and not go deeper into, well, actually, that could be whatever it is, yellow and purple, whatever colors make blue. Like, this is what this really is. So for me, average, taking everything as it was, you know, victim, phenomenal, victor, and seeing possibilities, seeing beyond, you know, what's surface. That, to me, that's one of the characteristics that determine a person who's average versus somebody who's great.
How did you stay motivated all the time? People ask me that all the time. And the answer is, I didn't. And neither did you to become successful. The separator in life is really important. People think the most inspired, motivated person wins. Nah, not really. It's the person who can work on the days they're not inspired and motivated. It's what do you do when you're not feeling great? What do you do when it's not your best day? How do you do that? Carries you through is rituals and habits. So when you're fatigued, when you're tired, when you're under pressure, you react reflexively. And so successful people rely on habits and rituals, not just their inspiration and motivation level. Of course, we're both professionals at being motivated and inspired, but that's not every day, every minute. And so what do? I work on the days because my habits and rituals carry me through. And so for me, here's how I look at my life and my day. If I can control the first 30 minutes of my day, and the last 30 minutes of my day, I have a whole lot better chance of the middle of my day being controlled. And so I'm a freak about the first 30 minutes of every day. It's really about the first 45 minutes, and I'm obsessive about the last 45 minutes of every single day. That gives me some illusion in my mind and measure of control. The other thing it does, it delivers to me habits and rituals that serve me, that I do every day that are consistent. It gives me comfort in stormy times. That ocean out there is raging at the top right now, right? The waves are crashing. At the bottom of that ocean, it's completely calm. At the bottom of that ocean is the habitual part of the water, right? It's the part of the water that stays the most consistent. That's why it's so calm, okay? So when you see someone out of control, their emotions are up and down all the time. This is someone who is without rituals and habits. Successful people have those, and so they do. And so it keeps me calm, it keeps me comfortable.
First 45 years for sure, I was completely lost. And somewhere between 45 and 51, I started figuring out, okay, what am I doing? I started sorting my life out. I started doing some courses that really, really made a difference in my life. I've always been into self-improvement my whole life. And, but it wasn't until I was about 45 that I really started discovering information that could make me more confident, me more sure. You know, when I was 25 years old, I was a young salesperson and I didn't like sales, and I got educated on how to sell, and I became very, very good at it. I started understanding the process, the customer, the objections, the rebuttals, how to follow up, how to handle the rejection and the disappointment, the discouragement, how to get over it. But that didn't help me become more confident in me as a person, as an individual. I was making money. By the time I was 31, I had a couple businesses. They were making money. Probably had, you know, $300,000-$400,000 saved when I was 30, 31 years old, because I was starting to make a little money, right? By the time I'm 33, I got probably $1 million in the bank. I still didn't feel good about myself. I had this nagging, like, sense of desperation, anxieties, depression, uncertainty, a lack of confidence. And when I started working on me spiritually, that's when at 45, 46, 47 years old, that's when everything changed for me. Like everything, all the expansion, the confidence, the getting out in the world, the maybe a little better communicating than I was doing. I'm not perfect at it by any means now. And I started getting more certainty about who I am, what I am, where I'm going, and why I'm here. Like if you don't figure those things out, no amount of money in the world will fill you up. No, the private planes won't, the fancy cars. You have to know where you're going.
Start learning personal development, right? The Tony Robbins, and all of a sudden my mind is opened up into my surroundings of the people around me. Who do I need to cut out because they're cancers versus who I need to spend more time with because I need to rise to their level. And all of a sudden I realized, holy cow, man, these are, I've got built-in coaches. As a personal trainer one-on-one, your clients are typically the affluent people, right?
Right.
So I started asking all my clients in between workouts,
right.
A little business advice here, a little business advice there, and I found that these are people who practice. One guy's got a software company, next guy does an automotive company, right? Rental cars, public storage places. And man, it was just the best advice versus taking advice from a family member or a friend who goes, I heard it on Shark Tank.
Who's not practicing, who hasn't experienced it.
Yeah. So that's the big thing, is to take advice from someone who's been there and done that. And if they're consulting in your industry, but they come from a different industry, I would tread cautiously.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But you think everyone should have a coach?
I believe so.
I think so too.
As athletes, we have coaches. Right?
Don't try to do it on your own.
No.
Yeah.
If you've dealt with trauma in your life, whether it's some kind of physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever, neglect as a kid, you go to a therapist. A good therapist is a coach.
Yes.
Right? You've got personal development coaches like the Tony Robbins, like the Brandon Bouchards.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have business coaches?
Yeah.
Why not have high performance coaches? If you've got limiting beliefs, why not have someone reset your thermostat that mom and dad had set so low?
Yeah.
Right? Or circumstance of growing up had set so low.
Mm-hmm.
We're in it. We can't see the trees.
Yeah.
I look at it as a coach. A good coach is in a helicopter saying, you see a lot of trees, but I know if you go 50 yards that way and then 10 yards that way, you've got an open path.
Be open up, yeah.
That's it.
Right.
That's what a coach does. They buy you time. They buy you speed. They buy you success.
You are probably at the most dangerous part of your life. And he's like, Dad, I got 3 months and I graduate from college. Like I work with Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
I won Dad, I wear an Elite 8 ring, a Final 4 ring. Dad, I got a job offer of a lifetime. And I was like, that's the problem. I'm like, everything you've ever dreamed of, you are 3 months away. So what happens 3 months in one day? Like you have nothing, son. Like I said, so what you have to do for me is now I need you to start all over from scratch. I need you to come up with what's the next 4 years look like? What's the next grind? I'm like, is it getting an 800 credit score? Is it saving $250,000? Is it finding the girl of your dream and getting married? Is it buying a house, helping your mom pay for your sister to go to school? I'm like, son, I don't care what it is, but you don't understand this is dangerous because this is where people mess up. They get comfortable, they settle, and they think, yo, I made it. And like you said, that's the worst place in the world. So I told my son, like, yo, just imagine in 3 months, you're going to wake up and every dream you've had since you were 6 or 7 years old, it's all like, who graduates with the dream job? Who lives in New York? He's in Manhattan. He's going to be in Manhattan, Times Square. So I said, son, this is a dangerous place. So I say to those individuals, yeah, you're right. You don't want to hit rock bottom, but you have to create your own mental rock bottom so that you don't hit rock bottom.
Persuasion in anything. So if you want to persuade your children, if you want to persuade someone to take a look at your faith, if you want to persuade someone in business, if you want to persuade someone to help you in anything or help them in anything, it's real simple for me. Monster belief. And so you can't transfer to me that which you're not experiencing yourself, right? So you can't give me that. People are always trying to come up with a magic word, the magic close, the magic this. And there are words you shouldn't use in persuasion, no question about it, right? There are words that are more effective than other words. And clearly to be successful in any business, you need to know what those words are in your business. But the best persuaders, the best motivators, the best speakers, the best physicians, the best school teachers, the best parents
are incredible persuaders. And what they do is they come from a monster place of conviction and belief that they can transfer you to, because people respond to energy much more than they do words. They respond to what they feel, not what they hear and see. Hear and see are real low-level influencers. Energy, spirit, transfer of energy is what people respond to. And so I'm cognizant all the time of getting in a state of total belief and certainty about what it is that I'm going to represent or speak on, if I'm speaking on stage about a particular topic, and then transferring that energy into people. And that seems generic or hokey, but it's actually what great persuaders do. In fact, if you're listening to this, you think of anybody that you know who's incredibly persuasive. They may have great words, they probably do, but it's something you feel from them, right? And that's the difference between a great doctor and a so-so doctor. Great doctor says, here's the prescription, you're out of here. Another one,
is this going to work or not? I don't know.
Another one, you leave there feeling that you're going to be healed, feeling you're in good hands. You feel their certainty, you feel their confidence. Same when you hear a speaker, if you're buying real estate from somebody. But it's not just buying things, it's a great pastor in a church. A great person, if you do TM, who's taught you TM, it's their certainty, it's the energy you feel. And so for me, it's always getting to, I have to really believe what I'm saying. I have to really feel it to transfer it to.
Find what you're looking for. I've been giving a lot of thought to kind of just watching what I'm seeing out there in the social, digital ecosystem, and very honestly, just real life. And I'm watching so many people over the last 2 to 3 years look for negativity, look for something that's wrong, find where people disagree with them, fight, look for woe is me, downside, half glass empty. And then I go to a Twitter search or look around the world and I find ridiculously beautiful things every day. Every day, thousands of kind acts randomly by people. All people that I have conversations with who see the opportunities, whether it's in business like voice and AR or crypto or whatever it may be. Just this amazingly interesting thing that I feel the majority of you are looking for the wrong. While there's plenty of wrong and plenty of right in the world, it comes down to one very simple thing. What are you choosing to look for? Because I promise you, if you right now, and I'm making this video for one reason, 24 hours of trying to find the good. Somebody saves a kitten, somebody opens the door, somebody does a nice thing for you, somebody says thank you. 24 hours of looking for positivity could change your life. Honestly, making this for one person. One person watches this video, chooses to do 24 hours of looking for good instead of looking for bad, and their game changes. D-Rock heard somebody at a convenience store saying, "Mom, you're always so negative. You're always so negative." I am blown away by the fact that life gets real simple if you break it down into this. Are you looking for the negative? This sucks, this government sucks, this person sucks, this is or are you looking for the positive? She's nice, that's remarkable, I've got this opportunity. You choose what you're looking for, because what you look for, you find. That's how life works.